everyone, and welcome to Candidly Cantrice. I guess by the title of this video, you probably are like, what is she talking about? Maybe some of you guys can relate, maybe not. But I wanted to share this because I felt, I'm always being transparent about different things in my life and different topics. And this was something that I was battling with a lot for a long time. And once I realized, like, this isn't my fault, so why do I feel bad about it? Then I began to accept, like, I don't have nothing to do with whatever's going on with anybody else. Okay, so let me give stories. So the thought came about, I was cleaning up. It was a day the kids weren't here, they were with their dad. And I was thinking about how, I'm blessed to have all of my children by one person. Because when you're young, most times you're not going to be with that person as an adult. So having a child as a teenager, all that good jazz for me, it's not, the odds are against you that you're going to be with that person, let alone get married to that person. And so I was just thinking about, like, how all my kids were gone, they were with their dad, all of them together with their dad. And so for a long time, I felt guilty about the fact that, my kids were by the same guy. And it's like, how do you feel guilty about something like that? Like, and it really was, because a lot of time guys don't stick around to be fathers, or if they are around, they're around like lightweight, around just enough to make it seem like something's going on. But then there's those dads that are there full force and full effect. But I know, plenty of women who have multiple fathers for their children. I don't want to say baby fathers. Like, their kids have different dads. And so I know that that's a thing. And I actually commend women who have to deal with multiple dads, because just dealing with one dad is enough. And it's like, sometimes people look at you, I feel like some people look at you, as in me, as if I'm better, or, I got my head up a little high or whatnot. And I actually look up to the women who have more than one, because can you imagine I couldn't imagine having to deal with my kid's father and then two other people, about, like, every kid you have to discuss situations with 3 different people or 2 different people, however many different people. And it's like, for someone to be able to do that, for someone to be able to, not be wild to this dad or whatever the case. Like, I see a lot of different stuff with relationships with, the kid's father. So I definitely admire women who have to deal with that. And another thing that I admire is women who have to deal with children on their own. Like, no outlet whatsoever. Like, there's nobody else to pick up the slack for anything. Like, every day in and day out, you're making decisions for however many different children there is, and it's just you constantly making sure they're okay, making sure they're fed. trying to problem solve what stuff was going on with them at school, with friends, being outside, like just constantly having to make decisions and not getting a break. Because I'm quick to call, especially for my son, because he's the one who's always trying to be in something, be in the mix all the time. So I constantly, your son is trying to do XYZ. It's on you. Like, if you want to let him do it or whatever, y'all can figure it out. I'm out of it. You know what I mean? And so to be able to have that type of release sometimes is like a breath of fresh air, because constantly having to make decisions. And then my kids know, if you're trying to do anything, I need to know all the details: when, where, who, how, what, how you getting there, how you getting home, who's all gonna be over there, how much it costs, what time you coming back, like everything. Like, don't even come to me if you don't have all the details. Like, anyway, sad boy. And so, but for a long time I felt guilty. And then not only having these children by the same person, but then eventually marrying this person. And so I was blessed that that's what happened, because we could have broke up soon as I got pregnant, shortly after I had my first child, and I could have been on to the next person, and you know what I mean, had a completely different baby dad. Like, so my life didn't have to go in the order that it did, but it did, and I'm blessed that it did. But like I said, I felt guilty for that for a long time. But I'm like, sis, that's not your fault. I mean, that's not your fault, but it's not your. You shouldn't carry that around as guilt. Like, it is what it is. You blessed, you happy, you grateful for it. Bask in those things. You know what I mean? And so another thing, speaking of fathers, like, me and my dad are very, very, very close. He's always been very involved. I lived with him, you know, early in my life, and we've always just had a very strong relationship. And there's a lot of women who don't know that, who don't have that. And I would feel guilty about like sharing that, like, oh yeah, man, my dad are dumb close, or being with my dad, or you know what I mean, and other women not having had that same experience. You know, I used to feel guilty about that too, like, oh, you know, me and my dad are close. Like, not that, oh yeah, I know who my dad is, and no, like, me and my dad have a legit strong bomb relationship, like super dope. Like, my dad is so awesome. He is so awesome. Like, he is so supportive. He is just, I get my carefreeness from him. Like, I only just realized that like several years ago. Like, dang, my dad is super carefree, and like, and I love that. I love that about him, and I love that that has been passed on to me. But I felt guilty about that, and I'm like, you can't feel guilty about that. Like, even my kids would be like, so who is who's dad, or where is such and such's dad, or how come we don't know? And I used to feel bad about that. And they're just asking legitimate questions. Like, we just trying to understand. We're just trying to figure out how our family, you know what I mean, our family's built. And I just feel bad about that. And I had to get my whole life together. Like, no, sis, don't carry that like that. So I thought that was interesting that had came up while I was cleaning up, while my kids weren't home. And so I wanted to know if you guys had any guilty blessings. And if you do, don't harbor those feelings. You know, figure out why you feel guilty about them and try to work through that. Like, I really had to like stop and be like, cause I wouldn't post stuff like about my dad, like, because I didn't want to offend anyone or make anyone feel sad or anything like that. But that you have a great relationship with your dad. That's something to be happy about, to enjoy, to share. And so I really had to get my life together. So let me know if there is anything that you would consider a guilty blessing in the comments below. I would love to chit chat with you guys. But that's it for this video. Until next time.